Have you guys noticed how handsome I am lately? Well, my wife has. So have all my friends. Everywhere I go, people go, "Hey, is that Quince? That looks good. Is that Quince?" Even when I'm not wearing Quince, if it looks good, people assume it's Quince. Quince has overtaken my wardrobe. I'm more intentional about what I wear day to day. I lean into pieces that feel easy, comfortable, and nice put together. I call them my husband clothes. Quince will hook you up. I personally love the khaki slacks, and I like a nice clean t-shirt. 100% European linen shorts and shirts from $34. You hear what I'm saying? For 34 bucks, you get yourself a nice shirt. People go, "Hey, look at that guy. He looks nice." What does that guy think? He's Jay Mohr? Because Jay Mohr looks nice. You know why he looks nice? Because he's always wearing Quince. Hey. Go to quince.com/more stories, quince.com/more stories for free shipping and 365-day returns. You could be a real creep and wear this for 10 months and send it back and say, "I don't like it." But you won't because it's Quince, Quince, quince.com/more stories for a full year return policy and free shipping.
Amazon presents Jeff versus Taco Truck Salsa. Whether it's Verde, Roja, or the orange one. For Jeff, trying any salsa is like playing Russian roulette with a flamethrower. Luckily, Jeff saved with Amazon and stocked up on antacids, ginger tea, and milk. Habanero? More like habanero, yes. Save the everyday with Amazon.
The road to the NBA Finals ends here, with star guard setting the tone. The Cavs eye another upset, while the Knicks carry the dreams of all of New York. Bang! The Eastern Conference Finals, Cavaliers-Knicks, Game 1, tonight on ESPN.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
If you want to hit any buttons, you gotta scream and vote.
All right.
That's your...
You know, my grandfather, Isaac Rabinowitz, Ike Robinson, I loved when I was a kid, he literally thought that the laughing teeth thing that you'd wind it up, that was the height of comedy to him.
He's not wrong. Oops, sorry. He's not wrong. But you don't see those anymore,
I
like
know,
the chattering
it's
teeth.
horrible. They're
How about-
funny.
Do you remember the, we're rolling, right? Remember the Chinese finger torture?
Of course.
Why did those work?
You know, because some kid somewhere never got out of it.
Yeah, but why couldn't
There's a guy,
Yeah, but
He's
why
68
couldn't you get
years
your
old in New
fingers out?
Jersey, and he never went to work. He lives at his mom's because his fingers have been stuck in there since 1969.
But aren't you freaked out like why it worked? Because you could, if you just got your breath, you could take your fingers out of the Chinese finger
It's
torture.
just the panic.
How come everything was Chinese? Chinese fire drill? Did you have dogs growing up?
Yeah.
What kind of dogs? Well,
We
let
had
me
all
guess.
sorts of dogs.
Like blue tick coon hounds?
No,
Like,
no,
you're from the woods.
I'm not from a Erskine Caldwell novel.
Wow, let me write that one down.
Look
Good
it,
drop right out of the
look it up. Yeah, we had all sorts of dogs. We had like little scruffy dogs. One time we had a boxer that attacked me in the backyard. Like, I don't know what was going on, but it was like at the time the most terrifying thing. It just it cornered me and just had me on the ground and was like with its paws and stuff. And my
How old were you?
That was in our first house, so on West Wesley and Howell Mill for anyone in Atlanta. So I was 6?
So you grew up in Atlanta proper?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And did you ever let a dog like hump you because you thought it was funny when you were with your friends? We used
No,
to
I
be
knew.
like this, like, what's this?
I knew it was wrong.
I still think it's funny.
It's only wrong if you get an erection while the dog is humping your leg.
That's when it's only right for me. Pound of
And I
feathers.
guess it depends on what dog it is. If it's a German Shepherd, that's weird, you know?
Yeah, you're only done when a dog says you're done.
You know what I mean?
Pound of feathers, congrats. And I love, first of all, the album cover, I love that it's just the two brothers, you and Rich. Now, people may say for Pound of Feathers that, hey, he gave Rich the prominent spot. But I'm a showbiz guy, and I know people read left from right.
That's right.
So anytime
I really took the power position in that.
You
know.
did.
I'm glad someone
Sneaky.
with a subtle knowledge of how the show business works could pick up on that.
Buddy Hackett told me,
Always stand on this side when there's a group photo. That way your name will never be broken up in the margin.
like the stupid, weird, crazy things. But he was right.
And you sound exactly like him.
Well, Chris, they do call it in the pressing there.
What was the name
Yeah,
of that?
but you know what? I mean, everyone's doing Donald Trump. I'm glad that we could get a Buddy Hackett out of this.
To be in Nagasaki where the women chew tobacco and the men say, whoa, wacky, whoa.
He was
Wasn't
like
he like the dirtiest guy? They like told the
at the
dirt.
time, for sure.
Yeah, I love it.
He was like a dad to me.
Amazing.
And I remember when I bought my gun, you got to wait 7 days.
What, do you just have one?
Oh, yeah. And then I had kids. All my kids have one.
Well, I've never owned a gun, but isn't the mindset that if you have a couple kids, you should buy more to protect them? You know what I mean? Like just the one pistol in case some shit happens. I
We
mean,
had
have
two
a,
hands.
But you have a son.
I have a son and a daughter. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but with a son, you can't have a gun in the house because they're going to find it in the
I didn't
friends
grow
are
up with them. I grew up with my father pulling the car over and beating people with his fist the way it's supposed to be in the deep south.
But with having
My dad getting out of his pea green Mercedes after playing 2 rugby matches, covered in dirt and sweat and shit, in his rugby uniform with no cleats on, getting out of the side of the road to smack someone in the face.
that must have been terrifying.
It was terrifying. It was
And exhilarating.
I'm working it out now.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm picking this moment. It was exhilarating because my mom is screaming that the guy's got a gun. You know what I mean? It was always very traumatic, but it happened quite a bit with my dad.
Quite a bit.
Well, more than 3 or 4 times.
Did you carry that into your adult life? Like when you get into a stressful situation, do you fear like there's going to be this big explosion?
No, not
Or
really.
are you the
I'm not-
explosion?
I have been the explosion. I mean, let's just call it fireworks more than an explosion. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, of course, there was it's funny because in real life and my marriage and the mistakes I've made, but where I am today, it's like, oh, I'm a dyslexic kid from the deep South. I'm a 3rd generation Atlantan. We didn't have emotional vocabulary.
No.
That's why I know who Erskine Caldwell is.
Well, we didn't have it in New Jersey either. We're about the
No,
same
no.
age. So just so you know, and
Yeah.
like I never knew if my dad liked me. Like I knew he loved me. He'd say, "I love you too." But as far as just like 2 guys hanging out, I always was on sort of eggshells.
Yeah, my dad's joke was, this is my son Chris. He's a big disappointment to me.
Oh my gosh.
It's a good one.
Well, my dad was like,
Get it?
I loved my dad, but he was in schmata business. He was like Willie Loman. You know what I mean? I used to be like, Dad, you know what I mean? This is like Death of a Salesman.
But didn't your dad have a hit song
He had my dad made
on
records.
the Billboard?
It was funny. I was just in Nashville with my mom, who's still alive, but they had split up in the early 90s. And we were talking, and Rich and I have a couple of my dad's records. There's some footage of him on American Bandstand, or maybe it was called something else, but Dick Clark was on, and when he Boom a Dip Dip was his big, that was his
dip, Joe.
That was his big track.
That's what Joe comes on stage to when he does stand-up.
That's my walk-up song.
So he was like a doo-wop guy.
It was that era, so
Yeah.
it's kind of 58.
Yeah.
And the real doo-wop era is maybe they're still using some of those vocal things. But I mean, my dad was a really good singer, and my dad was a good dancer, and
Isaac.
he was a man about town. That
Isaac?
was his dad, Ike.
What's your dad's name?
My dad's Stanley,
Stanley. And mom?
Nancy.
And they got, you said
My
they
mom's
got,
real name before she married my dad she's from Nashville, Nancy Jane Bradley, the 11th child of 13 Bradleys in Nashville.
it's like a Freddie King song.
Or a small Mennonite community in one family.
Guy, Chris is the best, dude. So Chris and I shared a car service home from JFK to
No,
Manhattan.
you shared it with me because you were so generous and cool.
Yeah, I
You
don't know
could have
what
just been
happened
like,
to you.
hey, Counting Crows guy later. You know what I
Or
mean?
he licked my ass. I'm the biggest fucking Black Crowes fan. I was like, yeah, you can take our car.
We had a great ride.
It was
I
nice.
always remember that. I've told you this before when I see you at the Laker game or
Yes,
whatever.
but I remember
that never happened ever again.
Really?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, of course, ride with us. And then I'm sitting with my back to this window. He's got his back to that window. His wife's like sort of sprawled in his lap. And then as I'm talking, I realize he's not really listening to me anymore. And he just pulls his sunglasses down and goes, "The friendly confines of Shea Stadium." It's like, this guy's the fucking best. I guess they were friendly to the Braves.
Yeah.
More friendly than they are to the stupid Mets.
Why'd you do this to me?
So-
My brother has 7 children. Speaking of Mennonites.
Strong like
And
bull.
Jedediah,
And
I'm
Tobias.
going to shave my mustache off.
Jedediah.
So Rich has a big family. His older 2 from his first marriage, the second one, Quinn Robinson, had his birthday yesterday, and he came over with Camille and I. We made dinner for him last night, and he loves records, and so I've had all these records that I just bought in Japan and Australia. But out of all these years, and there were many years that Uncle Chris wasn't in his life.
Yeah, tell me about it.
But he laid it on us last night that he's a Mets fan.
Oh.
And I was like, you have such good taste in everything else.
He needs
How
that
does-
pain. He must be a songwriter himself.
I get it.
How does somebody become a Mets fan, Joe? You were in Long Island?
Yeah, but well, no, I was in Westchester, but
This is
born
a
in
boring story. So,
1979.
Chris-
they were good when I was a kid. Is the
He's,
answer?
you know what? He's crying a little
yeah,
bit.
it hurts.
We played a gig in like the middle of the rural France somewhere. I don't even know what town it was. And we had an opening, but whatever. We come on it. We do pretty well in Paris, and you know what I mean. But outside of that, we were never that big in France. And we come out and we do the first song, da, 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 and it's nothing. And our old drum tech could make that sound, and I just put the mic behind the drum stand, and he's
Crickets.
doing that sound to the couple hundred people who came. It was fucking the best.
I would say you guys probably do great in France and Europe for the same reason the Stray Cats live in perpetuity in England and Europe, because you're uniquely American, and the Stray Cats have that rockabilly sound. You guys go up against it sometimes.
Well, I mean,
but
yeah,
you're
I mean, our
very
sound is
American.
really, but the funny thing about us is we are, and the Southern rock part of it, yes, we're a rock band from the South, but our influences were really English. You know what I mean? We loved the Stones and the Faces, but we loved the Yardbirds and we loved the Kinks. And so we liked all this kind of music that, in the same way that a band like Big Star were like Beatle Anglophile kind of people, but they're a Southern band too.
Alex Chilton, Joe, big star.
In the same way REM would be, it's funny too, because I'm not a massive Skynyrd fan, but we were in Colorado for February, and for some reason I was like, I want to hear some Lynyrd Skynyrd. But Skynyrd sounds like their basis really is Free, the band Free, Paul Rogers and Paul Kossoff, and so it's funny, they're super English too in that way, like all those like
I never thought of that.
yeah, they really that's a template for their sound and those kind of tough mid-tempo kind of tracks,
You talked about the Faces and the Stones. Do you have a favorite Ron Wood album?
Well, I mean, the first one is
Give Me Some Neck.
Well, the first one's I've got my own album to do.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, to me, track for track, that's one of my favorite records. I mean,
Ronnie's really
Now
slept
Look,
on.
the second one is Now Look is really good. It's a little more kind of R&B.
Yeah.
But they have that track Breathe on Me on that record is
You are my infection. It's like
Yeah.
some of the best Stones albums are like Talk Is Cheap by Keith and
yeah.
the Ronnie
And
Wood album.
then Ron Wood really, when bless him, Ronnie, that when he goes off to that 1, 2, 3, 4 record where he is like
he's-
free basing and
Yeah.
like, and his voice is like, "Rah, rah," but I love Crash and Burn records, man. There's something about
What's yours?
What, the Black Crows?
Yeah.
Well, Three Snakes, really, but in one cycle we crash and burned only to have a beautiful lotus grow out of the
By your side?
wreckage. No, I mean, By Your Side.
Was
I
that
like,
after Three Snakes?
Well, Three Snakes, I think, we hit. It's funny now too because you get older and people are like, because you do review, interviews. I didn't like that record then, but I listened to it and it's incredible. I'm like, yeah, wow, amazing, really, like so funny. Like we were always chasing whatever we were feeling. I mean, they're all the records that Rich and I, the songs that we write. And the band, and at the time, the people that are in the band, of course, they're adding to the material that the engine of what Rich and I have created. But they're real. They might be abstract. They might be obscure. They might be absurd. They might be all sorts of things. But they're a real snapshot of like those young men at that time: the good, the bad, the confused, the hazy, the oh my God, is he had too much or too little? What is this behavior?
Well, that's what I really like about you guys is I've never found you to be abstract because that's where a lot of bands lose me. Like Radiohead now sounds like robots fucking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you have Johnny Greenwood. He's one of the coolest guitar sounds.
Robots fucking while a Waymo drives by videoing it.
Yeah. And yeah. But you guys, and I meant By Your Side as maybe a phoenix from the
I
ashes
think it was
from Three
but
Snakes.
see, to me though, like
Say once, say 2 times, 3 times. All right, baby.
yeah. Well, I mean, I like the I think, and now especially a lot of those songs fit into like our presentation.
I would guess you probably, do you still play, if I had to guess on Three Snakes, songs that you can play right now, plug in, and they're, I would say Blackberry and Under a Mountain.
We play Under Mountain.
And
We
Good
haven't played
Friday.
Blackberry in 100 years.
Is Good Friday Three
We
Snakes?
play Good Friday.
Good Friday's phenomenal.
We play Under Mountain, and we play
I nailed it.
we play Nebuchadnezzar from that record.
Big Bible time in your life? Where do you get
well,
Nebuchadnezzar
no, I mean, he
from?
was the king of Babylon.
Oh, okay.
And the line in that song is, Nebuchadnezzar never knew he left his needle outside in the rain and it rusted through. So we could kind of vibe out how we were hanging at that time.
Yeah, but I know a good.
I mean, Good Friday is a heroin song too, because I was in a relationship that was deteriorating, and it was easy. And I like the country kind of side of it. I like to write stories like that, but also the guys in the band who were really into heroin at the time, they could only get their supply for the week on Friday, so it started to be, oh, it's Good Friday, because.
I don't miss those days for myself.
I don't miss them, but I also
It's a full-time job.
Yeah, that part of it, I look back and I'm like, who was,
Chris,
and now that I'm older too, we travel around. I mean, you travel around. I'm like, wow, I'm so lucky to first off get on the other side of it, to be alive or whatever. But also, it's a weird topic for me because even though I was deeply involved in all sorts of druggy stuff, I never really felt I never did it because I was lost. I never did it because I was desperate or because I didn't have some life force had drained out of me or something. I truly did it out of some sort of beatnik, like, this is, what can I get out of this?
I did it because I love the effects produced by it. I love being high.
Yeah.
And I love being high more than I love my children.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not kidding.
Well, I mean, that was my thing. I loved it, but I also could stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I didn't have that.
Yeah.
My intervention was in this room.
Yeah.
You know how they got me for my intervention?
They told you there was a big pile of drugs in there. And you
I would have been I would have been totally suspicious. They told me for this podcast at 8 a.m. the next day I was going to interview Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh, okay.
And I stayed up all night. And I come down. I really fucking thought Wu-Tang Clan was coming over to my house.
Yeah, it's the most research you ever did in your life because there's 186 members of the Wu-Tang Clan.
Well, let's get into these Wofford Terriers, my man Chris Robinson. Do you have a favorite terrier of all the terrier breeds? Because you went to Wofford, right?
Wofford.
Wofford? What did I say?
Wofford.
You didn't let me finish.
So you're from Jersey. It's fine.
I am from Jersey. Born and bruised.
Colloquialisms.
Fucking
I
Wofford.
did go to Wofford for a summer session.
Did you declare a major? Or?
I declared that I'm not good at this.
Yeah, I don't get it.
It's funny because I had a teacher at the school that I went to who, I mean, it's funny because when you look, it's the same thing about getting, I'm 60 this year or whatever. You have a different perspective of looking back, and there's a side of me that's extremely academic, but only in the things I'm interested in. I have an entire existence around literature that is so boring and so but also private in a way.
What's on your nightstand now? Is there a book on your nightstand?
What am I reading right now? I'm reading this. I'm rereading Moby Dick right now, which is really enjoyable. And
No,
I
it's
know
not.
so much about.
Moby Dick's horrible.
I read a lot of Victorian literature.
I get to page 200. They're not in water yet. I'm like, fuck this guy.
I know. And then by the time you get to page 450, it's like how, there's 40 pages on the history of people who drew pictures of whales. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know,
it's
man.
Pretty cool.
You really like that. You're like my oldest son is nerds out on stuff like that.
But then I'm also reading this Argentinian crazy queer writer, Copy, who lived in Paris. I'm reading this book about his life in Paris with all the theater people and crazy drugs and outsider stuff.
I'm so glad I'm not in a band with you.
You and everybody else.
My first impression of A Pound of Feathers was I looked up the producers because it sounded a lot to me like not all the intros, but a lot of the intros made me think of By Your Side. And the common theme was Rich. Like Rich handling all the guitars.
Yeah. I mean, to me,
Lions, you had a lot of Audley Freed and a lot of on the other albums was Mark Ford. Like you guys, by the way, Black Crowes goes through lead guitarists like Spinal Tap goes through drummers. What is this? How do you keep an identity if you keep losing guitarists?
Well, I mean, I think the identity has always been focused on me and Rich.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I think we've been lucky enough to have great musicians come in the band, but I also. The first 10 years of the band were so every day. You know what I mean? It was like just the drama of, but the intensity in general for young people from 20 to 30 or 20 to 33, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're the last era where rock and roll is so important. You know what I mean? Like the band, your band is your gang, your band is your cult, your band is your everything. It's you know what I mean?
Your pirates.
And add into that, we are completely available in our belief system to understand the mystic of rock and roll, the things that you didn't have access to. What was it really like when the Stones were in the south of France? The dreaming of things like that. What was it like when Led Zeppelin makes Houses of the Holy? What's it like when Bob Dylan is in Woodstock after the motorcycle accident? What is it like? Right now I'm surprised I can even concentrate on this because I'm wondering what P-Funk ordered for dinner at the studio when they made Motor Booty Affair. You know what I mean? Like I have.
What is that?
You know what they didn't? They didn't eat.
A lot of freebase in there too. Oh my gosh!
And some of my best music ever made.
But doesn't it go on? Hold on, Joe. Hold that thought. But my only problem with P-Funk is I think every song goes on 2 minutes too long. That's my problem with Pearl Jam. Like every song's a minute longer than it needs to be.
Yeah, I don't know. I think when
You guys seem to know when to get
comes
out.
to the funk, it's hard to know when to
Can't
rail
stop
it
the
in.
funk.
I mean, you know
can't
what I'm
stop the
saying?
funk?
Like, they made a
Joe.
lot of funk records, you know.
I saw P-Funk at House of Blues, and there's like guys in diapers hopping around
Well, that
like
was Gary Schneider, yeah.
frogs.
That was my friend who sings on BlackBerry, by the way.
I was like, did these guys get an equal cut? Like, what's the salary to hop around on stage like a frog?
Well, you save a lot of money on the diaper. You don't have to buy a lot of other clothes for the stage.
Yeah, that's
so
fair.
that's a back end type of thing.
And George Clinton never like played an instrument. He's just the orchestrator of it all. He's guy's a genius.
Unbelievable talent. I mean, George, you know, if you're really into this music, when he's younger, before he loses his
Mind?
his voice really too.
Well, let's
Because you know,
also
at a
put
certain
Mind up
point,
there.
like, you know, because the Parliament started as a doo-wop group when he's at the barbershop in New Jersey. So all those guys, Fuzzy and the original singers, those are the doo-wop guys. So they continue on. That's kind of the basis for Parliament. Then George, when he gets into the, you know, his sort of psychedelic acid stuff, that's where Funkadelic come in, because that's the like guitar experimental acid trip. Then it all comes together for P-Funk, and he can bring in Bootsy Collins, who's been with James Brown,
James
and
Brown.
he gets James Brown's horn section. I mean, it's one of the most incredible bands. Bernie Worrell, I mean, it's one of the most incredible bands ever assembled.
You got to be a real tight musician to be able to play that loose and that long, right?
Incredible
Yeah.
musicians.
Like people don't realize, like Bootsy playing. When Bootsy was on this podcast, I just wanted to talk about him at 18 playing with James Brown. I was like, we'll get to P-Funk later.
yeah.
What were we going to ask, Chris?
Well, you were talking about all your variety of band members through the years. I was wondering, what makes a good or bad band member?
I mean, the other thing is I think and we are romantics, but I think a part of it, well, maybe in our case, it was always black and white that this band is for Rich. Rich and I start this band. Anyone else who's ever been in the band, whether they're in the original band or they're in this band, no matter what they say or what they think or what their egos tell them, that this is Rich and I's creation. It was a vehicle for our songwriting, because that was the one thing that really interested us to get involved in this whole world.
Is this a subtweet? Are you talking about anybody in particular?
I'm talking about them all.
Okay.
But so that's something that maybe someone down the line, well, I have my own songs. Well, cool. Well, we're not playing them. I mean, that's just what it is. It's always been that since we were fucking teenagers.
Well, what if
I
they
mean,
have a
the other
great
thing
song,
is
though?
like, then they can go do it. You know what I mean? Then they have.
I got my own album
That's
to
why
do,
Ronnie
mate.
would put out now.
Yeah,
That's
there
right.
you go. You can't all be Hey Negrita all the time.
Exactly. The other stuff is that was out of our control. Is you know, I can talk about my drugs and my stuff, but I watched other people throw away lots of opportunities because of addiction. But that's their story.
I've made a few talking dog movies, Chris. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And I wasn't even a lead dog. I'm a receptionist at Chewy Vuitton.
I know, but when you step out of the dark realms of comedy into the theatrical world, you realize you're just a whole.
Yeah, that's the whole gig.
That's why I thought it was funny a few years ago. Some actor, English guy, I forget who it was. I saw an interview with him, and
What's
he
this guy
was,
got notes?
I know he was.
What do you got, notes?
Trying to get on your Wi-Fi.
He
Oh,
was.
okay. It's Birdie's Wi-Fi.
He was saying like I don't like when actors talk poorly about things that they've done. I'm like, really? You think David Cross is proud of the Chipmunk movie? Like, he's fucking funny and smart and done amazing things. Like, of course he doesn't like the Chipmunk. And you know what? Ask me how the Chipmunk movie was.
How was the Chipmunk movie?
Great catering.
Do you have an album like that you'd rather?
No.
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 So even the
I mean-
Crash and Burn record, you stand by it.
Completely.
Yeah,
I mean, for years I've always said, even closer to the,
As you should, by the way.
well, I mean, we were in we
Specifically the Black Crowes.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I've always been in a place where, and that gets into By Your Side. I've always done this, and that's the other thing. This is serious to me. I took it serious when we were the first time in a studio. I take it, I'm light and I like to work and improv and I have a certain mode, but it's deadly serious music. It's fun. It's called playing music. I don't approach it from any sort of art form magazine article or something.
Yeah,
I approach it from
bands that take it too seriously. It's like, come on. And like bands that won't play their hits, it's like, what are we?
I get some of that, you know what I
but
mean?
it's a service industry. I came to see you. I want to hear Remedy.
But
You're going to play Remedy.
Yeah. And it took us many years to learn that. But part of that also is, I mean, life is chaos, you know what I mean? And there's so much. This is how I am as a dad with my kids. My son's 22, my daughter's 16. They're wonderful people. I love them. And I think the one thing that is kept, and we're not a typical family, you know what I mean? I'm not,
right.
This isn't normal when your dad works away from home for, or whatever, I'm always a little bit distant sometimes because I have to keep,
Keep the antenna open.
I have to keep it open for not just ideas, but to also make sure that the muse, I'm giving the muse its devotion.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it sounds silly, but it's true. And if I knew more about the business, then I would be not with the muse. If I had my own technical studio, I never wanted a studio in my house because I didn't want to. I want to be able to access all these things when I have to, not because it's there.
Right.
I think my dyslexia is always, in the best way, just allowed me to do things outside the way everyone else
How
wants them
does your
done.
dyslexia show itself? Are things actually backwards? Are there certain particular letters?
When I was a kid, and I'm lucky because my mom jumped on it really quick, and I'm early 70s in Georgia is like, that's like the kind of new frontier of diagnosing these kind of things.
Yeah. Are there certain letters that jumble up on you?
D's and B's backwards, numbers completely off the table. You know what I mean? Like really, but I have a really hard time with that. Small things.
But you're an avid reader of Victorian novels. How does that shake out?
I read other novels too.
No,
well, that's
no,
a
you
funny thing. No, you don't.
It's
Just
called-
Victoria.
it's called
Oh,
Modi
you're
Day.
fucking gay, dude.
How dare you, sir?
Like how does it manage when you're reading a novel?
Because my mom, that's the thing, motor skill things like tying my shoe and buttons still, weird stuff. I couldn't tell time for a long time, like clocks. Reading a lot of like going to a new doctor or dentist and filling out any form is like,
How about when you get those middle school applications for your kids or the high school?
Yeah, luckily
mind-boggling.
I've been completely I know these kids have to go to school. I'm not prepared to do that.
I didn't go to school this much when I was in school, Chris.
I know.
I get 3 emails a day from a fucking middle school. Leave me alone.
Yeah. Delicious meals from the Cobb County Public School System.
Do you guys still do sound checks?
They do every day. I don't do it every day. If there's something like, also because still we play a lot of, we throw in a lot of songs. Of course, we play the hits and the songs people,
We throw in Midnight Rambler and God's Got It.
Maybe you
gotta
like
run through it.
we did Bitch the other night, and I was like, we've never done it. We ran through it.
Sometimes I'm sexy. Move like a stud.
I'm feeling hungry. Can't find the reason. I just had a horse meat pie.
All right.
Don't forget the
All right.
Oh, he's the king of the all right.
Bobby Keys coming in. Winning. Oh, we could do this all day.
Yeah, I mean, but because we play, and if we do
Don't you wanna
something
just,
rare, we do.
Can't somebody go do it for you?
No, I mean, my brother has to sound check, or the whole world falls apart.
Oh, that's his deal.
Yeah, he gets off the bus straight to the stage, and he wants to play for a little while.
Well, he probably just loves to play, and that's his excuse, right?
Yeah.
I roasted Pat Riley before his statue, And it was the pre-statue meal the night before was at a producer's house, like this mansion. And they go, you're going to go up and roast everybody, the Showtime Lakers. I'm like, great. But before you go up, we're going to bring up Jeffrey Osborne. This is in a guy's house. So Jeffrey Osborne goes up and does 3 songs. He's amazing. He's floating around the room. It's indescribably joyful to watch.
Did he do every time I move, I lose? When
I don't know. I know he did.
That was when he was in LTD.
He did do it. He did do it
that's one of
because he
my
mentioned
favorites.
LTD and he did Woo 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 and then Wings of So and then afterwards I'm talking to him and I'm like, did you have sound check today? This is a guy's house in the hills. He goes 4 o'clock. This guy's 86. I go, it never fucking ends, does it? He goes, man. This guy's 86. It's Jeffrey Osborne. He's got to go to some guy's house at 4.
And do a fucking
The dinner was
sound
at
check.
9. The dinner was at 9. And he just stayed
Trust
there.
me. You know that Charlie Watts said, like, being in a band is just waiting around.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's all it is, really.
Was it when you guys first started? Nobody knew where to put you. Like you do these festivals, Monsters of Cock,
Yeah, totally.
brought to you by Budweiser and your mom's Bush. Fuck yeah!
Yeah, totally.
And then nobody knew.
We opened.
You're always at noon.
We were like the very Shake Your Moneymaker, where we're not cool enough to be in Spin magazine. We haven't sold enough records to be in Rolling Stone, so we're in like English magazines like Kerrang.
Kerrang!
You know, it's like a Slayer's new album and whatever this is, you know? Like,
Yeah, when does that write itself? When do you?
it never has in some ways.
You still don't think so?
I mean, you know, that it's funny now because that I'm just the way the nature of things. And, you know, again, my life really changes so deeply when I meet my wife, and like things just are the way they're supposed to flow. Things are this is nice. This is what love and partnership and respect and what two people can accomplish, you know. So because of that, I'm also more available in many ways. I know so many more of my peers, especially I would handle it when I was younger out of being an asshole or arrogant or, oh yeah, well, if you don't want me, well, fuck that. You know what I mean? But it was always frustrating to be the same age as Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Nirvana, even Alice in Chains in a way. I realized we sounded so much different. That we have so much roots music. We have so much black music in our sound. Funk, R&B, soul music, blues, that a lot of those bands really weren't hitting on those kind of influences. But that we were never on the cool radio station. We were on the classic rock station with all the old people. You know what I mean? That we were, and then there's a certain time where we're not on any radio stations.
Yeah.
We're an island to ourselves. I don't feel that way now, and the world has changed quite a bit, but now that I have personal relationships and know people, it makes me feel better. You know what I mean? And that people I know from that all these great bands, even like, you know, being able to, you know, see the guys in Green Day who I love, and that band is fucking phenomenal. You know what I mean? Like weird stuff like that. Is cool now. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you did hear our records. It's just we weren't invited to K-Rock Weenie Fest or, you know, any of those things. Like we have similar, because we didn't get invited to the metal things after that either.
Well, you're not metal at all.
I mean, not in the least
So
bit.
that's why they put you up at 11 a.m.
When we played at the Monsters of Rock Donington, it was Black Crowes, Queensryche.
Oh my gosh! Already this goes off
Motley
the
Crue,
rails.
Metallica, and AC/DC.
Nobody can follow AC/DC.
No way.
Guns N' Roses found that out the hard way.
Yeah, no one can.
Nobody.
And we went up noon. There's still the biggest shows at that time that we've ever played. There's still noon. There's 30,000 people out there.
Wow.
But I always remember it because we used to come out to Shake Your Moneymaker, Sex Machine. But then, get up, no, get on up, you know, get on up. And so we would come out. That would be our walking onto the stage music. And there's pictures. I have these velvet pants and this kind of, you know, we don't look anything like any of those bands. We just look like freaks. And we go out there and and people dug it. We had success in England before here. But I remember when all the magazines and newspapers came out, they were like, who the fuck is playing James Brown at a metal fest? You know what I mean? Like, our intro music upset some people. I mean, that's incredible.
Jay Mohr here to tell you about Blue Chew. Time for you to get bonered up for your partner. When your partner sends you that eggplant emoji, oh boy, it's on. I know that feeling. You get all that rumbly in your stomach, like, oh my gosh, I'm actually going to do it. But sometimes it doesn't work. That's why you get Blue Chew. Blue Chew is the best. Less talking, more rocking. Less hanging, more banging. Less thinking, more dinking. Seriously, who wrote this? It's simple. Chew it and do it. Don't let your mind get in the way of a good time. That's my thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so great. The only thing that would make this bad is if I lost my erection. Beep. Cue the slide whistle. Beep. That's the sound of the Blue Chew kicking in. Man, they've been on a mission for years to get you bricked up, build your confidence, and help you actually perform in the bedroom. Their new arousal-boosting formula, Blue Chew Gold, is helping millions of men have better sex in 2026. Most ED meds only focus on blood flow. Blue Chew Gold goes further by combining 2 ingredients for blood flow with 2 ingredients for mental arousal and connection. So you're not just physically ready, you're actually in the mood. We got a special deal for our listeners right now. When you buy 2 months of Blue Chew Gold, you get the 3rd for free with the promo code MOHR, M-O-H-R, like more girth, more stiffness, more boner action. Go deep into the 4th quarter with that boner. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast and getting us all rock hard.
Adobe Firefly is the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video editing for today's creative process. Built for creators of every kind, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, the budgets aren't getting bigger, and the timelines, oh yeah, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Unlock a better way to make with Adobe Firefly.
Suffering from dry, tired, irritated eyes? Don't let dry eyes win. Use Sustain Pro. It hydrates, restores, and protects dry eyes for up to 12 hours. Sustain Pro. Triple action dry eye relief.
I think you and I are similar, Chris, that you had this break where the band breaks up, you do your own thing, then you do Brother's Keeper, and then you kind of go away for a while and come back. And that's where I was, where like I had to get out of show business to realize how respected I was in show business. Now I go do something stupid like Hollywood Squares, and all the other comics are like, oh my God. And I never knew people
I had to get out of it to respect showbiz, not just my place in it. You know what I mean by that? I had to remove myself because I was heartbroken about the whole thing. I was angry, and I felt that I was in a situation that the only thing I could control is, it's the same thing with everyone. Like at the time, the primary people in the band were mad because at the time the manager goes, well, what would you want to keep doing this? And I knew this would be the nail in the head. I knew I could also set it down. I said, I want more money then. If this is a cash cow, then I want my side of beef. I feel like I knew that. It's not like I did it out of some random thing. I did it completely to put a nail in this thing because I knew. And to be honest, at that time, I was so angry that I felt the Black Crowes had just become this thing for. I can't speak for Rich because I think Rich and I still, I think War Paint's a really good record. I love Before the Frost Until the Freeze, very different, but really proud of the music on that record and the experience. But we're out there just chasing money so everyone can live a certain lifestyle. Yeah. And I felt, in all honesty, I was like, I'm not here for that. I'm not done. You know what I mean? As an artist, as a person, as someone, I'm not done. This isn't over. I'm not ready for The Shake Your Moneymaker tour that would come 10 years later. I'm not ready to, again, I'm also completely aware and prepared for that to sound selfish, self-indulgent. But again, I'm not your parents. Yeah, it's a family thing, but my dad would say, man, some kid, why is this kid in my house eating dinner 3 nights in a row? I didn't take him to raise, like a friend of mine or so. That would be my dad saying, I didn't take this kid to raise, and I didn't take them to raise. And I felt it was still kind of on me, as the front guy and as the catalyst, as the leader of the band. I've always been that.
I do know what you're saying, though, because, well, in my case,
I did it to be cruel in a way too, because my heart was broken.
Okay.
And my spirit, I wasn't going to allow my spirit to be broken with the one thing.
Broken by the business?
The business and the attitude and culture that the band had cultivated at that time.
Within.
Well,
Okay. Well, I'm
and
the
it's
only
funny 'cause
member of my band.
Rich and
you know what I mean? So I go on the road and the crowds
No, I know
get smaller and smaller. And I realize I'm only doing this for the money because I don't love it. I don't love it anymore. It's kind of humbling. And I'm like, why am I going to Syracuse Thursday to Sunday? Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So I had that big, like, what am I doing?
But when I stopped and did the Brotherhood and started that, and I went off on an incredible adventure. But that adventure, through its trials and tribulations, led me back to my brother. And again, that was made easier to see because of like love, and where I was with Camille, and being in a place where, look, we're the only thing we're really, I was talking when I talk to young bands, and I work with a lot of young bands and some older bands, but the one thing that is true, and this goes for not just your work too. We're the only thing I'm really responsible for or can have control over is our presentation.
Yeah.
What's going on with the music, what's going on the stage. Everything else in life, we're all subject to the same chaos and whims of the gods at any minute.
Yeah.
Fate, destiny, all of that stuff. It's all still real. That's why when I got off, I was saying this earlier, and like with my kids, I'm like, I love you guys so much. And the one thing your dad, even though I'm on a tour bus in Ohio or I'm in Tokyo or whatever, the one thing about you guys that is I'm not afraid of your adversities, because our adversities are the things that make us who we are. So the way I dealt with issues in 1995 is not the way I would deal with anything today.
If I took this Chris, if I took your head now and put it on that younger Chris, they're not
compatible. Those two machines don't go together, because honestly, I think, and again, all the shit, anything bad that happened or that looks like, oh, well, we had this or you did that, blah, 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 that's all out the window as well.
Yeah.
I completely believe this. There's nothing in me that this is convenient or insincere in any way because I don't want to deal with it. Everything has to happen for me to be here. You know what I mean? All of it has to happen the way it happened. There's no way to go back, because the other part of it is, and this is the other like juxtaposition, I think, God, especially when the last couple of years, we've gotten into making these box sets and things that are for the hardcore crow people in the world that we appreciate, and we're making those things for them. But I realize, like, especially between 92 to 96, we wrote shit tons of songs, and we made lots of recordings and some of it, again, is it a little bit self-indulgent, like an 8-minute nowhere stares or bewildered, like these kind of melancholy things, or we're, lumbering through the pain and aspirations of whatever's going on in our lives, but they're powerful. And I can look back at them and they're dynamic and they're emotional and I'm like, oh, I mean, that's where we were. We didn't listen to the record company guy. We didn't listen to the fucking manager guy. I mean, all that shit made it difficult, but it also allowed us the freedom. I've always looked at this as freedom. I didn't go into it, I'm sure the same thing with comedy. But it's good that you had lessons from people like Buddy Hackett. We can always learn from the people
Who was your Buddy Hackett?
in comedy or music?
No, in music, like
because I have a lot of them in comedy.
Who's the older musician that just for no reason, out of the kindness of his heart, just said things to you? And
David Crosby. David and I had a really cool friendship.
Known for being incredibly difficult.
I know, and he and I were. He was always cool.
I just can't look. I love David Crosby. I love me some Crosby, Stills, and Nash. But at some point, you got to shave the fucking mustache and get on with your life.
Yeah, I mean,
this guy looks like a fucking idiot.
Hey, I mean, Coca-Cola's not changing the logo. You know what I mean? They might have gone Coke Zero. They might have, you're not get, that's a good logo.
So you and Kyle did. What was the Q&A you did with David Crosby?
Yeah, it was Cameron Crowe did a documentary on David Crosby back in 2000.
That's right. You said you got along great with him.
He was fantastic.
Yeah.
He liked me a lot. Yeah.
What is it, guys like you and David Crosby? Is like
Kyle.
And Kyle.
And Kyle.
Is it Kyle? Is it the bull?
Are there any professional bull riders named Kyle?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think only.
I'm pretty sure it's just Cade and Zachariah.
They were professional, but they missed by 7 seconds. How about that fucking bull riding joke?
Yeah, I really like that one.
Well,
There's a support group for that.
Thank you. You talk about your marriage, and I'm, this is my third and final marriage. And all of a sudden, everything I ever knew about being in a relationship with somebody, it's a lot of work. It's not what I'm living right now. I'm married to my best friend. We get along great. We don't argue. It's not really work at all. Is that your experience with Camille?
I don't consider it work. I consider if I'm going to be with someone like Camille, who, when we first met, she was like untamable or unconquerable. You know what I mean? There's something about.
So were you, right?
Yeah. And I don't think that's not what love is, of course, but it's not about conquering or tameable. But I feel if I'm going to be with someone with so much life and so much spirit and beauty and imagination as my wife, that it's not for someone who's afraid. It's not for a guy who, but I'm not a guy's guy in the same way. You know what I mean? Like
no.
I don't think that I've always been able to understand the real nature of feminine power and like how, what that is. But with Camille, I realized like, no, it's not work, but in the same way with the muse, I'm devoted to her too. You know what I mean? And I'm there.
You find yourself in an easier relationship than ever.
I find myself in the easiest relationship, but also we talked about this recently. We go on these great adventures. We were just in Australia, had an amazing time. We were just in Japan, incredible time. Friends, food, beauty. But it's the times that are tough, you know what I mean? It's the other side of life. Again, it's the stuff we can't control that comes up. It could be anything, right? It could be health, it could be money, it could be family. It's all the things that loss, whatever. You need someone in your life that prop you up, and you guys, we're gonna get through this together.
That's victory.
That is.
I'll show you victory.
Yeah, little Curse Diamond.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. And that's something that I was never afraid to put my heart out there. It never made, none of the bad marriages or relationships.
Oh, guys like me and you lead with it.
Well, also, I think part of it, you love music, and comedians are practitioners of the great dark arts,
Jesus.
And I think, but growing up, the literature
Voodoo.
I liked, the movies I liked, the records I liked were all like Love is Madness and Darkness and like all of these things. There's a dark romanticism around it that I bought into that. You know what I mean? I bought into the poetics of that. I bought into.
But do you still buy in having 2 kids and now being in love? Do you still buy into that there has to be that darkness?
No, not at all.
Because I just sadness got its last tears out of me. Like,
yeah, I mean, and again, like it's, Camille's place in this is the stepmom to 2 kids. I have 2 kids with 2 different women, so. But she's a California girl who grew up with a mixed family like that. Like, everything is possible. You know what I mean? Like, you just have to be flexible, truly. And even being rigid in terms of your attitudes and, that's, you know what I mean? That's just not progressive. And that's just not a way to, let's face it too. The other thing about us is it's still the Old Testament. We're just trying to get through the day without being struck by God's, revenge.
Guys, like, we're all dented cans too. Like, we're not exactly the most polished gem to show a woman.
No, yeah. Because women love when you want to talk about Victorian literature to them.
Hey, she might. I don't know. Who's your favorite Muppet?
Swedish Chef.
Bork.
Yeah.
Who was yours, Joe?
Gonzo.
Gonzo's tight.
I'm not really feeling Gonzo with you.
Gonzo got a stable of bitches, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I think like the two old guys were the best ones.
Statler and Waldorf.
Yeah.
What's the biggest animal you're confident you could kill with your bare hands? No time limit.
Jay Leno.
Oh, how dare you?
Just kidding. I mean, he's a great guy. I don't know. He just popped into my head. I think maybe, I don't know, a medium-sized frog, maybe.
Come on.
I don't know. I could kill fuck it. You know what? With my bare hands?
Yeah. Could you kill a horse?
No.
You can't choke out a horse.
No, they're powerful, huge.
So are you.
Stomp you.
No, I'm not that physically strong. I'm mean, but not that strong. I mean, maybe, I don't know.
I'm going to go.
Can I use a rock?
No.
Oh, because I was going to go with ostrich.
Oh, well, pandas, that's easy pickings.
Yeah, I think they have it in them a little more than we give them credit for.
No, they're we keep them alive. They don't mate. They don't eat. Like, they fall out of trees. They're idiots.
All right, sign me up.
I'm going to go manatee.
No.
That's 1,000 pounds. I'll
That's
ride
1,000
him.
pounds
cover his blow.
of kindness.
First I thumb his eyes out.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he needs them underwater, but he's missing a sense. He's going to be on the ropes.
One of the best books I've read ever is this book called Naples 44, and it's this English military policeman writes about his experience in Naples right after the Allies head up the Italian peninsula in World War II. It's a book of unbelievable sadness, but it also contains so much poignant human spirit, beauty. It's a great book. It's and wild, surreal, but he talks a lot about the people of Naples. Great stories about Italians and their suits, and even though there's nothing to wear, they are buying old army blankets and dyeing them black and cutting beautiful 3-piece suits out of like really cool stuff. But one of the things, and when you said manatee, so the aristocrats in Naples, they're used to living a certain lifestyle. They're used to their food. You're in Naples, you're in southern Italy. The sea is so important. That's the things that you eat. But you can't fish and you can't get out there because it's all landmined and there's a whatever. So they start eating they had a famous aquarium. They start eating all the animals out of the aquarium. This fucking guy gets invited to a party at one of the, aristocratic Neapolitan families' homes. There's one animal left. And they had it in a butter and garlic sauce on linguine, and it was the manatee.
Probably delicious.
Sounds delicious.
Comes with a smile on its face.
I'd be like, it's a little aquarium-y. You know what I mean?
So, talking about and I'll get you out of here. Talking about the guitarist and how there's that huge turnover. Audley Freed and Luther Dickinson and Mark Ford and this guy, that guy.
I mean, also the band breaks up twice, so we lose members when we do that.
But I feel like Ed Harsh, I don't know, you can't replace that guy, especially on Amorica.
We've had so many talented people, and Eric Deutsch, who's with us right now, incredibly talented guy.
Is there a guy when you're on stage that you go, that's not it?
I can't look at it like that.
Can I rephrase it? Because that tees you up to throw somebody under the bus. Is there a sound that'll never come back because of
Ed?
Yeah.
I mean, Ed also, again.
What was it with that guy?
He's, we were lucky enough to have the
like
great
he was in
Chuck
the Cramps.
Leavell. Yeah, totally. We were lucky enough to have the great Chuck Leavell play on Shake Your Moneymaker. I mean, it just
How does
turned
that?
out-
Well, how do you get that as a new band?
George Drakoulias.
I bought a hot dog from who? George Drakoulias.
I went to Orange Julius with
Atta
George
boy.
Drakoulias. So George, is producing and our A&R guy. So Chuck is in Macon. He comes up and he plays on this record. I mean, he really elevates musically what we were doing. A huge part of Shake Your Moneymaker. So we do that first year, and now by the end of 1990, we're selling some records and we're starting to have some money. Let's get a keyboard player. There's no way we're getting Chuck Leavell. But we called Chuck and said, have you seen anyone? And he goes, this guy who lives in Chicago, he's from Detroit. He's got the left hand of all left hands. Because a lot of people, you'll see keyboard players in bands today, even if they're more blues, whatever, not just kind of synthy things. A lot of guys can do a lot of fancy stuff with their right hand. It's the left hand that is like kind of dictating more of a rhythmic thing, whether it's kind of stride piano, which would be like kind of where Thelonious Monk comes from, but was a blues thing with, Big Maceo and Otis Spann and like these kind of piano players. And Ed, that's his world. And when he joins the band, well, first he had a mullet still because he was in a blues band, and we were like, I don't know what we're gonna do with that, but once we found our way to each other, and he had been in the band for a while. I mean, all the Ed stories are fucking unbelievable. Shall I tell you an Ed story?
Yeah, please.
First tour, we're opening for ZZ Top, January 1991. We're in arenas with ZZ Top. Ed's been in the band fucking a week. We're in Cincinnati at the arena. We're in some cavernous old hotel like The Shining or whatever. It's time to go to the gig. Get on the bus and go to the gig. Lobby, 3:30, whatever. I come out of my room, I close the door, I have my bag, whatever, and I walk past, and Ed's the room next door, and the door's open. And I'm like, yo, man, you coming to the gig? He's like, hey, man, yeah, man, I'm coming in. I'll be right there. Come on in. And I walk in, and like all his shit's laid out and stuff. And he's like, put on his jacket. How's it going? Like, blah, 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 blah. We're not friends yet. Like, we would be very close, obviously, later. I go, all right, man, well, let's get the bus, and he goes, all right. And we go walking out of the door, but the bathroom door's open and the water's running really strong. And I go, you going to turn that water off? He goes, what? Oh, in the bathroom? Hey, check it out. And he goes in, he turns on the light, and he's got a pack of hot dogs in the sink with the hot water running on it. And he's got mustard and ketchup in there and buns. And I go, what? He goes, yeah, man, by the time I get back from the gig, these motherfuckers are going to be ready. And I'm like, and he's heating up hot dogs in the sink, and he's going to eat. I go, we order after show food. Yeah, man, but I think I'm just going to fuck up these dogs, And I was like, that's who I'm rolling around with, But he was an incredible musician.
Ridiculous.
And Ed was important, and this sounds weird, but Ed, Ed was older. And Ed had been in the blues scene and been in rock bands in Toronto. And he had I think being in our band, we loved roots music, but I turned Ed onto P-Funk, which ultimately kind of destroyed his life because he was in Detroit and Ed was already deeply into drugs. But then he got around that scene and it got deeper, And it was hard to watch. It's hard to watch someone you love. But then again, when Jerry Garcia passes away, I was really like, wow, okay. And into this whole kind of drug scene. So I called David Crosby, and David Crosby was like, who had pulled his life together. And he was like, dude, Jerry Garcia knew what he was doing. You don't tell the smartest person you've ever met, you know that this is ruining everything. And he's, of course he did. And Ed was kind of the same way. Ed, incredibly bright guy. Really on, I think of like Neil Cassidy, who was Jack Kerouac's friend, and this character that exists. There's only one, there's only one. He's a prototype motherfucker out there.
Yeah.
And I learned so much from him. The best thing about Ed, not just his contribution, and he was a great older drug person to learn the drug rules. But Ed also had this capacity of enthusiasm about music. You know what I mean? Because I played the drums a little bit. And Ed would always be like, yo, man, get up. You know, you should be playing. You know, he loved my pocket. And if something was, he always interjected with like, yeah, man, let's do that. That shit's amazing. But Ed also was frustrating in some ways because, you know, the Amorica record, the song Descending.
Oh, beautiful.
So Rich and I write the song. We have it on acoustic guitar. We have the and then the
Have mercy,
we have the two
baby.
parts. But we sit down in the studio and Ed plays that intro on piano that way. But when we record the song, that's the first take. The subsequent takes were fucking
couldn't get it.
Horrible. He
couldn't get it.
He played it the one, and that was Ed's trip. He would play it genius the one or two times, and then it would dissolve into.
Well, then how do you play it live if that happens?
He just could do that. It was the studio would be different for him. Yeah.
At one point, I think everybody in the band was like 6'2" and over. Like you guys were probably like a band.
We were
of
all
pirates.
over 6 feet. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it true? I heard a story that Sting, you guys were out in a trailer with AstroTurf, and Sting and an entire huge entourage
his minions.
And then he walked back 5 minutes later, and Ed goes, "What's the matter, Sting? Craft service closed?"
Yeah, catering it.
Is that true?
Yeah, totally.
And they all started like jogging away because they were afraid. You guys look like a bunch of fucking ruffians.
Well, when he walked going the other way, Ed goes, "Hey, Sting, if you're going to catering, man, have the minestrone. It's awesome," you know, some shit like that. You know?
Sting.
Then when he came back, he's like, "Oh, they closed it. Are you know minestrone, man?" You know, he's like, Sting's like looking over at this freak, you know.
The Clash or the Ramones? You can only pick one.
The Clash.
Yeah, I'm leaning.
I mean, I love the
debate for a
Ramones,
while.
but
who are we having that with? Greg Proops?
Greg Proops, yeah.
I love the Ramones. Don't get me wrong. Like genius shit. So it's so alive and just so needed. And I love the weird Long Island glue sniffing twist on reality.
And like crazy right wing.
Yeah, Johnny was.
Johnny was nuts. Like he would tell you about it.
Yeah. I used to see him a little bit at the old whiskey bar, but he only liked. He was funny. He loved baseball. I'm not a huge baseball person, so that was kind of off the table. And he liked records, but only 7 inches by like 4 groups, you know. And I'm like, I have thousands of records of all sorts of stuff. But he was super cool. You know,
underrated guitarist, Johnny.
Yeah, all people who invented something like that are underrated.
You know,
and he invented something.
He sure did.
And it's not what you
so
think
did they,
it is.
right?
Yeah, of course. Of course. I mean, it's not completely out of the blue where it comes from, but what they did as like a musical. It's also funny, like, if you learn a Ramones song, they're a lot harder than you think. It's one thing, but it's not.
Really?
There's a lot more music in there than you think. Yeah.
I remember once my headphones were weird, and one of them went out, and I was listening to the Ramones, and all I could hear was Dee Dee's bass in my left ear and Johnny's vocals, and Johnny's vocals blew my mind.
Yeah.
Nothing was forced. Everything was way under, like blitzkrieg pop.
Yeah.
Just
and weird
real
pronunciations.
Yeah, but everything was like, nothing was pushed. Nothing was like loud and big.
He never screams once.
Yeah, but you think the Ramones, I guess, no.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's definitely something that. But most music is like that.
Yeah.
We instantly want to buy the headline. It's with us. Stones, Faces. The Black Crowes. They just copied the Stones' Faces. Sometimes Salvation doesn't sound like the Stones or the Faces. Remedy doesn't sound like the Stones or the Faces.
Let's talk about
Diamond doesn't sound like the Stones or the Faces.
You guys are the
love
Black
the
Crowes.
Stones and the Faces.
But I'm glad you brought up Sometimes Salvation because I was watching some Instagram thing where they break down songs, and I followed these guys just because they were breaking down you guys. And it was Sometimes Salvation, and they were bugging out in the spacing. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, boom, bam. Silence.
Yeah, it's dramatic.
Silence. Like, I got goosebumps. Like, no one was doing that. That
was
was
funny because when we wrote that song in my garage, I had a house in Atlanta for about 6 months.
Right next to Herschel Walker, Joe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to run over and he said, "Anybody want boiled peanuts?" And I said, would you get the fuck out of here? Dominic Wilkins is in here.
We're
having a nice time.
Deion Sanders is over.
Yeah, fuck. You fucking ruining the
By the
party.
way, I think we just did the holy trinity of Georgia athletes.
Yeah, pretty much.
So sorry. So
Vander Holyfield.
You're doing, yeah, wow. Yeah, respect. Sorry, Evander. No disrespect meant. So you're recording that in your garage.
Well, we're writing it, but it's funny, even in 1992, we get off the road, we sold 6 million albums, blah, blah, blah. Everything is cool. I'm 26 or whatever. 25, I don't know. And
probably one.
And everyone's like, "Hey, man, we need to slow down and like look about that." And I was like, "Are you talking to me?" I remember one time Steven Tyler called me like in 1991. "Hey, it's Steven." I'm like, "What's up?" "Hey, man, you guys have done great. Congrats, good. Got to take care of your money." I'm like, "Take care of my money?" I'm 25 years old.
My big hit is a cover.
Well, our bigger hits were not covers. I mean, She Talks to Angels was way bigger than that, but we sold shit tons of records and we were selling good concerts. And I said, thank you. And I appreciate Steven doing that, but I could have given a rat's are you kidding? This was not the time to like let's look at this. This was the time to like, for me to blast
Steven.
blast off into, ultimate weirdness and
usually
like rock
the second
and roll.
album is like, and you guys, I think it's just an absolute masterpiece, Southern Music Harmony Companion.
Yeah, I mean but it's funny, at the record label, we didn't sell as many, so
Fuck
they were
those
over
guys.
us, like it debuted at #1. It was a good selling record, bigger in international territories than it was in the States. We had an incredible tour. That record is, I have to look at it as our best record, in a lot of ways.
You're not going to believe what my favorite record is of yours.
Lions.
I told you that?
Yeah. And I said,
love Lions.
I just met Corey Taylor, the singer for Slipknot, who's like super rad dude. Horrifying in The Mask and everything. I would be scared of him in The Mask, but he did have, and he's such a cool guy, very talented singer. But he was like, "Man, if I could have told my teenage self that I was meeting you," and I was like, "Really?" And he goes, "Dude, Lions."
Lions was ferocious.
Two people.
That was Audley?
Yeah, but Rich plays a lot of that too.
Of course, Rich, always. But am I imagining that when you guys played the Greek for the Brothers Keeper, was Audley Free dressed like Jimmy Page, or was I just
Brothers Keeper? What is that? Brothers of a Feather?
No, it was you guys, Oasis, and Space.
Oh,
Hog.
Brotherly Love.
Brotherly Love, yeah.
Did he look like Jimmy Page?
But maybe I was on too many
He
mushrooms,
looked
but he was
cool.
dressed like Jimmy Page. And he had the big Jimmy Page hair.
He had bigger hair, but he
wasn't wearing that that dragony.
No,
I tripped my cock off. To this day, I'm like, and then the guitarist, he sounds like Jimmy Page, and he's dressed like Jimmy Page.
No, oddly, I don't remember ever wearing like
That's
wizards,
hilarious.
wizard outfit.
I
or
tripped
something.
myself into thinking he was
oddly's
like,
another person in the world, a great guitar player.
I mean, bro,
great guy.
the songs on that
we're still
album,
good
like Greasy
friends.
Grass River and Old Man, young soul singing, like one after the other, like those are nuts.
Yeah,
You elevated the Black Crowes.
Miracle to Me, and there's some nice. I like the ballad.
No, I'm joking.
That's what Rod Stewart said to me recently.
I ain't plugging into the Black Crowes for a fucking ballad.
I got to go. A couple about 6 months ago. We had drinks with Rod Stewart.
Wow.
And he was fucking the best. Just everything you want out of a big, giant superstar and someone who I really love. But we sit down and we had been at dinner, so we've had a few drinks, and he's had a couple, and we're talking and blah, blah, blah. And he looks over at me, and I go, and his hair looks amazing. And I went, "Rod." And he goes, "Eh."
He's, on Saturday Night Live, you're surrounded by all these bands, and then a guy like Rod Stewart comes in, and he's different from all the others. Like he was completely, in my mind, like that's having sat through my first year on the show, my first run. It was Nirvana, Cypress Hill, Smashing Pumpkins, Beastie Boys, James Taylor. It just went on and on. Aretha Franklin went on and on, and then a guy like Rod Stewart walks in, you go, "Oh, he's not like anyone else."
Mm-mm.
And he was just a guy in a tuxedo walking around. Like, didn't really talk.
Yeah.
Like, he was... Do you get starstruck by guys still?
Yeah, Sometimes, yeah, you know what I mean?
It's probably weird people, right?
But it's like for me, I was on an airplane about a year and a half ago, and I noticed that Charlie Wilson from the Gap Band was behind me, and I was like,
yeah.
and my wife's like, would you relax? I'm like, it's fucking Charlie Wilson. You know how many late night parties at my house have ended with Outstanding on the stereo? Girl, you knock me out. You know, and I'm like, and I'm kind of like, I don't bother people. I mean, I'll say things, but I'm not one to walk over. And
I'm an immediate.
Yeah, and I've
got
never, ever, and this, you can believe this or not, I've never, ever walked out of my house, gone to an event or anything in my life thinking anyone would actually know who I am. I know you could look at me and go, well, that guy looks weird, or look at the way he dresses, he must be in a band, or something's wrong with him, you know, and so I'm not that way, like, hey, you know, I'm not. But I said, Mr. Wilson, you know, I don't want to bother you. And,
girl, you knock me out.
And I love the.
You know who I get starstruck by? Like the hosts on TCM.
Yeah, totally.
Like I see them at a Lakers game, I'm like, oh shit. And the kid from Love on the Spectrum was here, and I couldn't get it. Like the first 20 minutes, I'm like, so like completely starstruck by a reality star with autism.
Yeah, totally.
The kids.
I met Dr. J once, and I was like,
that's different.
And he was so cool and shit. And he was like, hey, you know, I played high school basketball. I said, how's your game? I said, man, you Dr. J. I have no, I don't have a game.
So
You're
we'll put
Dr. J.
We're gonna put Evander Holyfield 1, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a big case for Herschel Walker 2.
Okay.
Primetime 3. Does that sound good?
Yeah, but he's from Florida.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah. My bad.
So you have to put Dominique Wilkins in there.
Neek, first guy to come back from Achilles.
I mean, you ever watch, by the way, you like basketball? Anyone out there likes basketball? If you've never watched Dominique's Georgia highlights on YouTube, get back to me.
We got Erskine Caldwell, Stanley and Nancy, Mennonites, and Naples 44. Yeah. That's my whole recap of this interview.
I'm happy with that.
And of course,
it's
we
not
have
a
this
deposition
beautiful
anything.
Black Crowes album that we've all been waiting for, A Pound of Feathers, Chris and Rich Robinson. Buddy, I hope you had fun. You take one of the dogs.
I can't believe Rich is your next guest. That's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, he's coming in at 4. You take one of these dogs on your way out.
Cool.
Thanks, buddy.
Jay Mohr's my uncle.